yeah, Crocs, boy. Anyways, what's going on, maniacs? And welcome to all of our recent subscribers. Thank you guys for all the support that we've had last year. I think we just stretched over 500 subscribers, a little bit more now. But I mean, welcome. And I'm guessing if you clicked on this video, by the title, you've probably just bought your first motorcycle. Congratulations. Don't know exactly how you got it home. Guessing you got a friend to bring it over, or maybe you just limped it home, figured out how to do it, and you got it home miraculously, or you probably got the guy to drop it off to your place. Nonetheless, you're clicking on this video because you got to learn how to ride it. I'm here to help. We're here to help. By any means am I not a professional MotoGP rider. I'm just a guy that's here, ready to help all and everybody that's looking to get into the sport of riding motorcycles. It's a great hobby, something that you can enjoy, something that you could be very passionate about, as long as you're staying safe. Very, very key. As long as you're staying safe. I will walk you through the basic steps of what it's going to take for you to be able to ride a motorcycle. Take it slow, right? Some of the things that I'll teach you in this video are going to be primarily in a parking lot, which literally 99% of the people that I teach start. Right, I've had a couple buddies that I've taught last year how to ride a bike, that are already looking forward to move into a bigger bike now. But everybody started somewhere, and just like what I said, those guys started in a parking lot, and then from a parking lot we took it onto the street, and throughout the season they got better and better from the stuff that they learned in the parking lot. And then now, after a year's time, some of them, they're gonna stay where they are, and then some of them have already upgraded to bigger bikes, and some of them are looking to get into bigger bikes. All right, so let me hop onto the bike, and then let's go over a couple things that will help you actually get that motorcycle onto the road. All right. Okay, so step one, you get your bike. There's my bike. Get your key. Now with the key, when it comes to newer bikes, a lot of them have fobs now, high tech. My bike's a 2008, so I still have a regular normal key. So you take your key, stick it into the ignition, turn it on. But if you're new, there's also a couple steps that you gotta keep in mind before you turn on your bike. Before actually turning on your bike, I'm going to take you down here to the left side of the bike, which is going to be where you control going up and down your gears. So for the majority of bikes, other than if you're in GP shift or if you're on a cruiser with less gears or just a smaller CC bike, the gear pattern is going to be 1 down, neutral, and 5 up. So you have a total of 6 gears. First one is going to be your dead stop, getting going gear, which is going to be down. So that is the first gear, so you click downwards, and then you're going to hear a loud, almost like a clank, which indicates that you're going to be in the first gear. Most bikes, 99% of bikes with a very authoritative clunk, is going to go into the first gear. As you get moving and as you progress, building speed and making your way onto city and highway speeds, that's when you're going to be clicking upwards to change your gear. You onto this side. This is the right side of your motorcycle, which has the rear brakes on it. So the rear brakes are going to be, controlling the braking and the stopping power of the rear tire, which accounts for not too much of the braking power, but it does have billions and billions of functions when it comes to helping you turn in on a little bit tighter of an area. When it comes to parking lots, helps you stabilize, and obviously dragging the rear tire also helps you stop, when you're rolling up to a stoplight, or for example when you're trying to start on a hill. It will help you not roll back, and then obviously 90%, if not more, I don't really know the ratio, of your stopping power is going to be controlled via the front brake. So your front brake is going to be the one that's going to be applying the big portion of the stopping power. Mind the clutter that I got here. Wires hanging out. Literally my headlights are hanging on by 3M tape, but nonetheless it's a Honda, it works, right? Okay, so you know, when it comes to this main portion of your bike, you know, you have your ignition where you stick in the key. You're able to lock the forks if you turn all the way to the left and then lock it. Main purpose of that is obviously when you're keeping the bike stationary or parking it, it doesn't let the forks turn. You know, God forbid there's somebody that wants to take your bike, it slows down the process. You know, if somebody wants to take your bike, they're going to take your bike. Okay, so you know, close over here. It's just like a regular car. Stick in your key. That's AC mode, which will light up the dash, and then there's usually a light. The green light will indicate that that's in neutral. That's very important. Very, very important, because I believe some bikes don't even turn on, like Suzuki's, like the GSXRs. You have to have them in neutral, and you have to, you know, press the clutch in before you could even turn it on. So there's that. Left hand side, this is for Hondas. For the most part, I think bikes are pretty similar. Like I said, I'm just doing this from a generic standpoint. This is also your clutch side. This will have your various lighting buttons right here, your turn signals, and my horn. And then obviously on this side, it's your you depress this and that's going to be your clutch. The right side, which is the throttle and brake side of your handlebars, you're going to find the kill switch and also the ignition. For the most part, I'm doing this as a very general standpoint when it comes to Japanese you know, sport bikes. So that is the engine kill switch. That is how you you know, prime it and get it ready to turn on, and then actually starting it, you got to hit the ignition switch, which is down there. Usually it'll give you that little symbol to start your bike. So I kicked my bike into first gear just to show you guys the difference between what your bike would look like if you left it in gear versus if you didn't. So if you left it in gear, you know, you turn your bike on, and a big indicator that you left it in first gear is that there's no green neutral sign, right? The green N isn't there. So what you do, just to keep it safe, is press your clutch in, boom. Wait until you see that green N, and now you're in neutral. If you follow the steps, so just like what I said right here, primed ignition, you'll hear the gas priming, and then when you're ready, when you hear everything turn on, now you're ready to bring your motorcycle to life. So I'm gonna hit my ignition switch and you'll hear this thing roar alive. Boom.
A few moments later.
Alright, so now getting onto the bike, and I hope that everyone that's watching these videos are properly geared up, so you guys aren't getting hurt when it comes time to you guys actually practicing. Alright, so like I said, I highly suggest that you guys find some sort of a parking lot. Okay, so we're here and we've found our open parking lot to practice in. First things first, like I said, if you haven't been on a motorcycle before, the easiest thing to do as of right now for you to get going is to obviously feel and find out the friction point of your bike. Some bikes catch a little bit lower, some bikes catch at the very top, some catch in the middle, and some, for you guys that don't know the differences between wet and dry clutches, some clutches you have to get in and out of the friction zone very quick, and some of them you're more than happy to kind of you know, when it comes to the car term, riding the clutch. When it comes to bikes that are wet, you can definitely slip that clutch pretty hard, and it's not going to do anything detrimental to the bike. Okay, so now you're onto the bike. Turn it on just like what I told you. When you're figuring out how to turn it on properly and not launching yourself, you're in neutral. What do you do now? So when your bike is in neutral, it's not going to do anything. This is your safe zone. You're not going to stall the bike. You're not going to be launched forward. Your bike is going to be stationary. It's similar to like a manual transmission car. You know how people do the shaking thing to check if they're in neutral? Exactly the same thing when you're in a bike. When you're neutral, that's your safe zone. Nothing's going to be happening to the bike. It's not going to move. So now, Brad, what do I do now? How do I get moving? So like I said, easiest way is let's find your friction point. So this is your clutch side. Just like a car, how you do it with your left foot, you're doing it with your hands now. So get your clutch in, depress it, right down there, kick down. That loud clunk indicates that you're in first gear. So for most bikes, you know, easing into the clutch point or the friction point, sorry, is just simply letting go of the clutch. And that can happen when it comes to a small bike, a big bike, doesn't matter what it is, you'll find it. And just for the sole purpose of me saying that, and saying that, you know, people can't control bigger bikes and yada yada yada, they're too fast, I'll show you. I ride a CBR 1000 RR, so anything that you do on a smaller bike, it's amplified, and your mistakes can happen a million times easier when you're on a bigger bike. Just a precaution. So like I said, let's start slow, find the friction point. So right here, letting go, I'm moving, I'm starting to move, and that's my friction point. So that is the friction point of my bike. Okay, so I'll, you know, press the brake. I found my friction point. So now that I found my friction point, I know that that point in the bike, as I'm releasing the clutch, is where my bike can catch. And just to show you, I'm slowly releasing my friction point, or slowly releasing my clutch and getting to that friction point without even pressing the throttle. Right, so this is me not using any throttle. Like I said, my bike's a little bit more powerful, so it will go faster even though it's just using the clutch. This right here is no form of throttle whatsoever, just me releasing the clutch. Okay, to press the clutch again, press the brake, let's go back down to a stop. Okay, now we're here. So how are you supposed to now, you know, elevate and grow your progression when it comes to getting in and out of a dead stop, right? So this would ideally be at like a stoplight. So now that happens, it's kind of like feathering when it comes to driving a manual transmission car. You can't just expect to ease out of that clutch friction point and just accelerate. Obviously there's got to be a little bit of feathering involved when it comes to you accelerating up to traffic speed. It's going to take some time, but you know, you're doing it in a controlled environment. Feel free to stall, feel free to do whatever. Just remember, when you're doing this, your main goal now is to get used to your bike, because every bike is different. So we're finding our friction point. We got to do reps. It's all in reps, right? Just like when you're playing a sport, when you're playing an instrument, without the proper reps and practice, you're not going to get a hold of that specific skill. With enough practice, then you're going to be able to do it just like it's breathing. It's like going to be second nature for you. So here we go. Let's get back into it. Let's do that drill, kick it back into first gear, slowly let out of that friction point, let out of that clutch. Now we're rolling again. Okay, so we're rolling, not even a little bit of gas yet, not even a little bit of gas. So I'm showing you guys that without the use of the throttle, I am moving, right? I am moving. Obviously, for you to start moving like traffic speed, you have to start really gently getting into that throttle, right? Getting into that throttle is what's gonna let you start accelerating and moving up to speed. When it comes to my bike, obviously, you know, even just the slightest bit of throttle will get me going, right? It's not a bike that, you know, if you're very how do I say it, throttle happy and you don't have control on your wrist, you're gonna get into a lot of trouble. Which is why a lot of people suggest starter riders to ride, you know, 300 moving upwards. If you have very, very good control, if you've been into dirt bikes when you're growing up, feel free to you know, start at a 600. But like I said, guys, the biggest thing about me teaching people is that don't step out of your comfort zone until you're ready to push that limit. And you're only able to push that limit when you've outgrown. And this, everything right here becomes second nature. Okay? So now, you know, you let's say you've paused the video, you've stopped, and you've taken the time to do a bunch of you know, start and stop out of first gear. Obviously there's one more step to evolve getting in and out of your first gear. Now obviously there's you accelerating a little bit faster, more realistic traffic speed. So for that to happen, you have to be inside your friction zone, at the same time adding a little bit of throttle and kind of slipping that clutch friction point out of it for you to grab on and accelerate gradually, as if you're accelerating from a stoplight, right? So I'll show you guys this here right now. So I'll show you. So we'll go right here. Let's say it's a red light, and now we're accelerating, and you know, it turns green, and now we have to go up to traffic speed. So just like this, build a little bit of throttle and get in and out of your friction zone, right? So that obviously is a lot more aggressive of a takeoff than just getting in and out of that friction zone. Okay, all it took was a little bit of throttle, a little bit of knowing exactly where I should be inching out of my friction zone. But the last thing you want to do, especially when you're adding some throttle, is to flip that clutch hand and just open it wide. It doesn't work like that. When you open the throttle, when you're adding throttle and you're flicking open your clutch, it's almost like you're simulating like a clutch up, like when you're just it's like almost doing a mini launch with your bike. So for 300s, even 600s, 750s, it's, you know, if you're not like banging off the limiter and you're gonna launch that, if you're like, let's say you over rev up to 3,000, 4,500 RPMs, you'll be okay. You'll lurch forward and you might shit yourself a little bit, but it's not like if you're doing it on a big bike. If you're doing it on a big bike, that means your front end is gonna lift. You know, if you don't know how to control, you might whiskey throttle, and it's just going to be a terrible time. But like I said, if you've gotten down pat and you've done your stop and goes, try and add a little bit of throttle. But your biggest control, your biggest point where you're not going to lose control, is going to be you controlling that release with your left hand. Because you could do everything, and I'll show you this. So with your throttle hand, you could be revving the piss out of it, but nothing's gonna happen if you control your clutch. If you control your clutch, you could be like this, right? And you could really add in the throttle, but it's not gonna do anything because you're simply slipping your clutch, right? You could be slipping your clutch and you could be right, but you're not getting in and out of your friction zone, which means that your bike isn't fully engaging into accelerating. So what that means is you could be going like this, but you're not letting the gears actually catch onto each other, so you're not launching forward. Okay, so now that, let's say you've done enough, you've done an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of stop and go, you've gotten out of stalling, and you know, like I said, I've ridden long enough for me to confidently say I haven't stalled in a long time, but you know, it probably happens to the best of us. But when you do stall, don't panic. Everybody will give courtesy to a new rider. Simply just put your bike, turn it off, or if you already stalled, it probably turned off already, get it back into neutral, and start your bike like regular. Don't be scared. You know, practice makes perfect. But you know, obviously stalling and everything is going to be part of your growing process. So start your bike like regular, don't panic, just relax. It happens to the best of us. Okay, so now that you've been on your bike, like I said, you want to shift through gears. Okay, if you have a closed environment where you could safely roll through a couple gears, mess up a little bit, try and do it. You know, do I suggest going onto the public street like right here? Probably not yet. Or if you're with a couple buddies that can control traffic, sure. But if you are by yourself, I highly suggest maybe a mall. It's COVID. Maybe coming to a mall that's, you know, not so densely populated, and just going around in circles. First gear, second gear, third gear. I don't think, you know, maybe with the smaller bikes you get up to fourth gear, but just roll through the gears and get familiar, right? So show you guys here, right? Just like normal, get out of your friction zone. There's a lot. So other than just getting in and out, I do want to do another video about, you know, properly steering your bike, because, you know, steering your bike is not like steering your car. You know, this is simply just to get you guys going, but steering in the, how to say it, in the simplest way is when you're below 20 kilometers per hour, or even let's say just about 10 kilometers per hour, your handlebars are what move. But when you develop enough speed, which you're going to sense when you start getting onto the road, you're going to be using this day in, day out. It's something called counter steering. So when you want to turn, especially when you're going up to speed already, you're not now turning the handlebars, you're literally pushing onto the side that you want to go to. Okay, that we could explain in another video, but for now let's just get with the concept of, like I said, of you getting in and out of your gears safely. So here, stoplight or stop sign, right? Now you want to go into second, press your clutch, kick it up into second gear. Now we're in second. Now we are cruising in second gear. Okay, so right here, kick it down into neutral. Most people like to kick it down into neutral because they don't like keeping their clutch depressed while they're at a stoplight. It is pretty important to do so, and I'll let you know what the benefits are of that. But like I said, see, light turns green. Let's get in and out of our friction zone really quickly, right? Pop it up, kick it into second gear. Now we're cruising. We're in second gear right here, making a right turn. Look where you want to go, right? Ease into it. So right here, first gear, press the clutch in, kick it up into second. Now we're in second gear cruising. Second gear cruising, fast enough, get into third. Right, this is another mechanism that you'll be able to use soon, is downshifting. It's going to allow you to shift in and up and down gears, or sorry, it's going to let you shift down gears in the proper RPM band, so then you're not jerky. Okay, that's something that you guys got to learn as well. So I mean, getting in and out of a shopping mall is pretty nice to have, because you're going to have a bunch of these situations where you're going to be at stop signs. Stop signs, kick it into first gear. Remember, ease out of that friction zone, and then you'll be able to start riding like usual, right, like normal. Right here, kick it up into second. Now you're up into second. Tip for you guys, if you don't like that feeling of going over speed bumps on your bum, stand up on your pegs. You're not going to feel any of that. Here we go, still cruising in second gear. Kick it up into third here. Get up into third, right? Switch gears, you clutch in, kick up into the next gear that you need to go into, and then just slowly release. You never want to just flick open the clutch, right? The biggest thing about riding motorcycles is you want to be smooth. You don't want to disrupt the suspension. You don't want to do anything abrupt that will cause your bike to lose stability, right? Especially for a newer rider, you wouldn't know exactly what to do if your bike loses control like that. You're not there yet, right? Stop sign, you know, just like a car, respect whose right of way is it, but gotta learn, right? You know, if you've taken your courses, you know, just make sure that you're staying in proper lines. You're not you know, breaking in other people's lines, and I think that will just take a little bit of practice, especially if you're not comfortable moving in tight spaces yet. But you know, this is just a basic video on how to even get moving in the first place. So I guess I'll hit the public road just so you could kind of see what it's like for you to get moving, but we'll end it off there, because I know for the most part all you guys are going to be doing is, you know, literally spinning in and out of a parking lot in first or second gear, you know, just you know, getting the motorcycle to move. So right, you know, there's a person, it's already a red light, still crossing, you know. not safe. Now make sure you really take a look. Still red light here. Okay. Right. Got the speed here. So I'll show you guys me rolling through a couple gears, so then you can see exactly what to do, and I'll walk you through it as I do it. Okay, I'm in first gear right now. Let's merge into traffic here. First gear, clutch in, up. I'm in second, cruising, clutch in, up, shift. I'm in third, clutch in. I'm in fourth, clutch in. Now I'm in fifth. Right? Downshifting I'll teach you guys in another video, but as I'm slowing down, downshift, downshift. Now we're in third, downshift. Now we're in second. Right? It's called engine braking. And then downshift. Now we're in first. Apply a little bit of front brake, rear brake, and usually I use my rear brake to completely stop me. Right? Flipped it into neutral. Now I'm just chilling. But like I said, it's just practice, you know. Staying inside a parking lot, getting your reps in, I'm sure will show its benefits in time. You know, you don't have to be a professional motorcycle rider right off the bat. Trust me, it's not like that. You know, you might have your friends that will encourage you to ride faster, ride faster, ride faster. Remember, at the very end of the day, it's your life, not theirs. They might have been riding longer than you. You know, and that's something that only time will tell, right? It's their experience versus yours. That's never a fair competition. If you're learning, you know, you'll never get away from it, but peer pressure is going to be a thing that will make people do stupid stuff on a bike. Don't fall victim into that. You know, don't get loomed into this whole, you know, if you're not riding fast, if you're not riding hard, you're lame. Man, I'd rather be lame and safe than to be cool and broken, right? It's not something that I'd risk my body for. All right, so here you go, there you go. Slip out of that friction zone. We're in first gear. Tip your bike over to get into the turn. Look into second. There we go. Slowing down. Downshift. Oh, look at that scooter. Right. So here's a perfect time for me to just kind of hold it into first, because I know I'm going to be starting soon. So as soon as it turns green, get out of that friction zone. Right, show you guys rolling through a couple of gears again. First, clutch in, kick it up into second, clutch out. I'll do it slow here. Right, so for cruising, right here, clutch in, kick it up into third, slowly let out in that throttle. Now we're in third. Okay?